Hello, future millionaires. This is Aztec, and this is the CSC. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Bitcoin chart. I'm going to give you an idea of why I think we're going to bounce still, but I am going to give a bearish scenario here. We're going to pivot a little bit because some new data has presented itself, and it is always important day by day to go ahead and look at the chart. You're going to plan and give it, basically have a plan for where you want to go, where you think the chart's going to go, but you also want to possibly pivot or take new data into consideration as it presents itself. So let's go ahead and get started. But before, also guys, I'm actually going to be talking about Traxia, the project that will be implemented onto the Cardano platform later this year. And it is very important to note, guys, that the Cardano Effect made a podcast recently where they interviewed some of the people from Lakeys and Traxia, and it was a very good podcast. That's all I'm going to say. If you don't know about the Cardano Effect, you need to subscribe to their channel. They're very professional YouTube channel that talks to many of the either developers or people within the Cardano ecosystem, and they do a lot of interviews, and they're great. So you just have to check out the Cardano Effect, and I want to let you guys know that they did talk about the Traxia project and interviewed people from Traxia. But I basically want to go ahead and give a kind of different spin. I'm going to be talking about why or how a retail investor would kind of look at the Traxia project, if it's worth investing in, which I think so, and why. So stay tuned for that. But anyways, let's look at Bitcoin here. Basically we broke out of the descending wedge, and we basically tested the 0.5 of the Christmas rally back in December. And we actually broke past the $3,700 area just slightly, and then closed at 3,634, at least on this Bitcoin USD Coinbase chart. So we are on the 4-hour chart. It is important to note. So every one of these candles are basically indicating a 4-hour spread of time. Now, what I was talking about earlier, the bearish kind of data that I've now kind of encountered is this here. So let's zoom in just slightly, take a look at this. I did say in the last video that I did think that we were going to start retracing towards this 0.618, and we actually did. We hit the target, the retracement target that I predicted in my last video perfectly, right at 3,550. But we really are in decision area at this time. We got the target I was looking at, but we have some new information, and one of the pieces here is this here. We got this failed rally, and it is very interesting because we got this failed rally as the 20 exponential moving average moved up and over the 200, and we also saw the 100 exponential moving average cross over the the 50 exponential moving average cross over the 100 EMA at the same time, and that's what kind of led this rally. I would say it probably was moved by bots because of the algos seeing that crossover on both of these EMAs. But you can see that it failed, so it's kind of bearish to see this failed rally. You can see it kind of formed this tweezer, bearish tweezer top looking candle set here. You see this failed rally and this kind of bullish engulfing candle eat up this bullish candle here, and we kept moving downward. So anytime you see a failed rally, it is kind of bearish, but you do have to consider that these EMAs crossed up and over, and that's what probably set the algos off. But there wasn't enough positive sentiment probably from retail investors or even market makers to really push this up from here, because I think a lot of people really did suspect us to come down to this 0.618, or I was even talking to other traders on the Cardano Telegram channel that suspected that we would even go lower, which there's a chance that we still can. But people were definitely suspecting that we would move lower, so I think this is why that failed. But still, in and of itself, this is kind of bearish, and we have to consider that we did get this failed attempt here to move upward. Now, the kind of bullish scenario, or the bullish point though, is that we did bounce off the 618. The 618 has held, and that is very important, because if we were to have broke through this here, that would indicate, to me at least, in my opinion, that we're probably would see a movement down to 3,400, basically make a BART. But we wicked off pretty nicely, and we're still kind of retracing here. So that's kind of nice to see that we found support at the 618 and we didn't break under. Though we have to look at the other indicators. We have this RSI. It's very neutral. It's at 53. So there's not too much we can extrapolate on this 4-hour chart based off the RSI. And we have the MACD. It has crossed under the signal. So it's kind of showing some bearish sentiment. You could possibly move down based off the MACD a little more, though you are seeing this histogram starting to show a little bit of sell pressure that is subsiding. So that's interesting. Are we getting this bounce here and slowly moving up? That's the question. Now, the way I'm playing this, because I want to give the bullish and bearish scenario, from a bearish scenario, I am putting a stop loss underneath down here in this area, because I really think that if we break under and close under this 618, we're probably going back down to 3,400, probably going to form some kind of BART. But in the bullish scenario, we are possibly getting a bounce off this 618, and we're moving up to the 0.5 again. But in that scenario, to stay bullish, we would need to break past this 0.5 fib level and close above it, possibly form some kind of bull flag above this 0.5. Because if we just moved up, bounced, and kind of double topped and found resistance at this $3,680 area, and we started moving down again, in my opinion, that would mean that we're, that would be very bearish, and I would suspect that over time we would head back down to the $3,400 area. So again, the only bearish scenario that I can see that would the only bullish scenario that I could see that would be very bullish and continue the trend upward towards that $3,800 area, would be if we actually found some a very nice breakout upward bounce past this $3,680 area, seeing a candle close above this, and some kind of bull flag possibly forming here. So that's what we need to see to stay bullish. But in this case, I want to say definitely set your stop losses. Not financial advice, but at least that's what I'm doing. Now, if we go ahead and look at the daily, let's go ahead and fix this up a bit here. If we look at this daily, it is forming a bull flag, so bullish. Though if we keep kind of consolidating sideways, between these two levels here, between, let's say, the 3,550 and the $3,680 area, if we keep moving sideways, the bull flag is going to look less significant, and we'd really have to reassess at that time. And I would definitely be a lot less bullish, because you want to see, you generally want to see follow up very soon after this kind of breakup upward. You want to see follow up soon, another breakup upward, to really feel more bullish about continuing up and meeting higher levels. But currently, we are forming a bull flag. The RSI again is very neutral, and the MACD is it's showing buying pressure. It is subsiding, but overall this daily chart for Bitcoin does look good still, and this could be showing that we have some strength still, and that we may be bouncing soon. And if we go to the weekly, it's going to be very similar, though a little bit more bullish, but I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to kind of cut the charts off for now so that we can talk about Traxia. So if we look at Traxia from the coin market cap, what's very significant is the rank and the market cap. The price, it's a fairly new project, and it has a very affordable price. It's sitting at about 1/3 of a cent, so you can pick up a lot of Traxia for a couple $100. You don't have to put too much in to this project to get your fair share. Now, Traxia is actually ranked 602 on CoinMarketCap. What that means to me is that there's a lot of room to move up. When you're sitting past 200 on CoinMarketCap, you're kind of in that possible unicorn level, because your market cap is so small. You're looking at under $2 million. Cardano is currently sitting at a little under $2 billion market cap. So from 2 million to 2 billion, or even a billion, you have a lot of room to move up. And during the last bull run, I seen tons of projects that weren't even very significant, only had a white paper, and they achieved billion-dollar market caps. So being that Traxia is a project that will have a lot of speculation behind it, because it's going to be implemented on the Cardano platform. It's going to be one of the first projects, I should say, that's actually what's really important, one of the first projects to be implemented on the Cardano platform, to show utility of the Cardano platform. I mean, it's going to have a large spotlight, and as long as it's successful, it has a lot of room to move up. So this market cap is what is huge to me. I love it, and as a retail investor, I look at this and I say, market cap's low, it has a lot of room to grow. It's new, and there's a lot of speculation that's coming later on this year and within the next couple years as Traxia makes its mark, because of course it has to move from Ethereum to Cardano first, and then make its partnerships and start, the ecosystem has to take off. Now, down here, the chart isn't very significant. It just shows that we're moving sideways. I'm not really too, I don't really care about the current chart. It had a nice little all-time high at around 1.5 cents, but that's the all-time high is not very significant to me. It really hasn't been out long enough. This chart doesn't have enough data for me, so I really don't care about the chart. Let's go ahead and look at the website. So as you guys know, if you've seen my other videos where I talk about projects and kind of rate them, the website is very, very important to me. What I need to see on the website, to feel like it's just kind of getting that first glance at a project, seeing if it's something that I may be interested in to invest in. I want to see that the website is nice looking doesn't have any kind of issues, grammar issues, and that it explains what the project is about, because you need to have some kind of trust. You generally, with these type of projects, they haven't been out long enough to know too much about them, so you want to kind of be able to gain some trust through the time that they've taken on their site to explain what you're investing in. And this site's great, guys. It's amazing. Here it says a blockchain solution to disrupt trade finance. And if I am segueing I'll be segueing a couple times talking about the podcast interview that was done recently. But on this podcast, guys, they talked about how Traxia won't be trying to, beat the banks. They're definitely creating an ecosystem where the banks can work with Traxia still. They are disruptive, but really what's most important about them is that they're solving a very large issue. And we'll get into all of that soon, right now down below in this site. But it is important to note that they will be able to work with the banks, so that's a really big point. Now, if we look at the website here, this part of the website is very interesting. It says the problem: 43 trillion USD in account receivables at any given day. Banks only finance 7% of these short-term assets. So, there's another 93% that aren't getting financed. And here it says banks continue to argue liquidity problems to not finance SMEs, and it's important to know SMEs are small and medium-sized enterprises. Here it says that they are stuck to negotiate with local banks, and for small medium businesses, that's a very big pain to have to negotiate and try to find liquidity. And if you're part of the 93% that is not being financed, you have a large issue. Now here it says trade finance operations are expensive, bureaucratic, and time-consuming. Banks rely on redundant paper trails and slow, non-transparent, and centralized credit decisions. And of course, everyone knows you go to a bank, there's a lot of red tape and hoops that you have to jump through. So it's hard to work with the banks, and it's very bureaucratic. So they are looking to solve all of these issues. It's a very large issue. This when I look at this kind of from my standpoint, I see, as a retail investor, I look at this and I say, well, there's a whole lot of money that can be dumped into this ecosystem, and there's a whole lot of people that need this problem solved, meaning there's a lot of people that will be using the ecosystem. Now, please stay tuned, guys, because I'm going to be explaining what the retail investor would actually be investing in when they buy TMT tokens. So it's really important to know this. So stay tuned towards the end of this video when I talk about that, because it may not be what you think about naturally when you think about investing in this project when you're reading just straight down the site. So stay tuned towards the end. But here it says the solution: a decentralized global trade finance ecosystem. Invoices are converted into smart contracts and traded as short-term assets. So they'll be using the smart contracts to kind of trade as commodities. And what's really important to note, guys, is that when you buy TMT, you're not buying these smart contracts. These smart contracts will be traded by institutional investors and entities of that nature. So again, stay tuned for more. But it says here, sellers and buyers continue to receive and pay in fiat. The only blockchain related effort is to input a private key. And here we have the white paper. So I actually looked at the white paper. It's very clean, it looks good, and very informational. Here it says the participants in the ecosystem. In our ecosystem, sellers upload their invoice, buyers approve it with their private key, issuing providers convert it into a smart contract, liquidity providers assure the liquidity, Listing providers manage the marketplace and investors trade the newly created digital asset. And again, the investor that they're referring to is not your retail investor, not us, if you're not a institutional investor. Now, this really just breaks it down very nicely. This is the whole ecosystem right here, guys. So if we look at this here, I am a seller. I digitalize and upload my 60, 90, 120 day invoice. Let's see if I can fix this here. Invoices into the system and let professional investors trade them. I get fiat minus commission. I'm a buyer. I just have to confirm using a private key that this invoice is correct and I pay it. My supplier will gain more financial oxygen to continue producing and innovating. So they're part of the fix here. And then it says I am a issuing provider. I am the technological partner that streamlines this process. I operate the smart contract inside of the blockchain and Traxia's protocol. I get paid a commission. I am a liquidity provider. I can be a fund, a financial institution, or an institutional investor. I finance the let's see. Basically, I can't see what this is saying here, so we'll just go on to I am an investor. It says I am a professional investor that goes to a marketplace to invest and trade parts or bundles of invoices that are now digital assets with the expectation of achieving a profit in such trade. I am a listing provider. I am the exchange where these new assets are being listed. I do the matching between liquidity providers and investors. For that, I am paid a small commission. So basically, you can see straight off the bat, this ecosystem is very seamless. There's someone for everything here. And, through this ecosystem, you can tell that there's going to be a lot of people that would want to join this ecosystem, be a part of it, and essentially find a fix to their problem. Now, if we look at this a little bit further, you can see that there's a nice little video here. It says introducing Traxia, and I would say go ahead and look at this video. I'll go ahead and post a link to this site so you guys can take a look at it. Of course, nothing that I say is financial advice. You have to do your own research, of course. So definitely look at the site if you're interested in Traxia. Now it says, what is a TMT token? Traxia Membership Token is a utility token issued by Traxia Foundation, Swiss law, that gives access to our ecosystem. Each time an issuing provider adds a new invoice to the system, TMT has to be purchased at an exchange to settle access fees. So one takeaway from the Cardano FX podcast, the interview they did with Traxia, is this. Now, this is one of the most important points of my entire video today. When you're buying TMT, if you're looking at it as an investment, what you need to know is what you're investing in is very similar to what BNB was when it first came out. And as you guys know, BNB did very well, made a lot of people millionaires. But basically, it's kind of like a utility token in a way, because what you'll be using TMT, the Traxia's token here, TMT, what you'll be using it for, or not you necessarily, institutional investors, and everyone that's part of the Traxia ecosystem, what you'll use the token for is to access the exchange, the ecosystem, pay for fees, that you may even possibly get discounts and things of that nature paid in it. But it'll be used as kind of like a utility token. So I do find this to be very interesting, because I do see that this project could be very significant maybe 2 years down the road, especially once they get implemented on Cardano's platform. That's first, that's the big, huge first step later on this year. But as they have time to jump through all the hoops, regulation, gather partners and partnerships and people join the ecosystem, this token will then start being used. So maybe 2 to 3 years down the road, you could see that this token could have a lot of speculation behind it and do very well for itself, similar to how BNB did. And I'm just equating, they're totally different, but in a sense they have some similarities. So that's why I'm equating the TMT token to the Binance token, but it's totally different, of course. Now, if we look at the side a little bit more, it says why blockchain. You have to place your cursor over the brain, and it gives some more explanations that are very important. If we scroll down a little further, you can see here that Ken Kodama, which is the former CEO of Emergo, said this. He says, "We see Liquis as a promising application of blockchain technology for the Cardano blockchain. Its focus on unlocking cash flow constraints for SMEs solves a known pain point for a huge market. We're excited to support the team as they build one of the first fintech applications for Cardano." One of the first. That's keyword first. So this project is going to have a very big spotlight. Here it says, technology from Cardano. Among the first implementations of Cardano technology, Cardano invested in Traxia's ecosystem through its investment arm, Emergo. So Cardano is actually invested in this project. So if you believe in Cardano, which you guys know Cardano is my favorite project, you guys may have a little faith in this project just because Cardano's invested in it. And here it says Cardano's superior technology will allow Traxia to present a more robust solution to better tackle scalability, settlement, and security. So yeah, this website really just goes into a lot of detail. It talks about Liquis here, and shows the advisors of the project. And that's about it for this project, guys. It's a great project. I think that, in my opinion, I will be investing in this project. I haven't done it just yet because I'm looking to see where Bitcoin goes in the short term. Are we going to get that lower low that people are talking about, 2,800 or lower? And if we do, that would probably be a time that I would invest, because in my opinion, this is a really great time to look at this kind of unicorn type project, because no one's talking about it. No one knows about it really yet. But once later on down the year, joins the Cardano ecosystem and basically gets implemented on the platform, a lot more people will know about it, talk about it, and if there's a bull run from now to the end of the year, this project could really blow up just in based off speculation. So I like to look at projects like this before they blow up. If you look at the chart, it has it's moving sideways. It definitely hasn't seen its all-time high yet. So for all the reasons that I've talked about before, and for these reasons, I'm looking at it now, and we'll probably either place a small investment into it in the short term, and possibly again after some kind of downward movement, if we get that downward movement with Bitcoin. But that's what I'm doing. That's my train of thought. For you guys, definitely take a look at the link below in my description to check out the website for yourself, do your own research, look at other people's opinions. Go ahead and take a look at Philippe and Rick's opinion, or well, not their opinion, but their interview that they did to get another spin. And yeah, guys, it looks like Bitcoin's trying to move up again to meet a little resistance at these EMAs, but it is kind of needling up here. We'll see what happens in the short term, guys. Seatbelts on, stop losses set. That's what I'm doing. Never give up on the future of money.